All of the homeless people in DC, how many of them are veterans? Okay. How many of them are veterans? We don't care. We want to pack them up with the current existing active military. I was just showing you here getting duped by a joke. This is just the first domino to fall. Just got off the phone with somebody who says Circus City is closing all stores in California next week. Hey, Jordan, Circus City doesn't have any stores in California or anywhere for that matter. It's online only. Why are you spreading disinformation? That's a joke. Oh my God, this person is so dumb. Apparently, I did miss the joke. That happens. Oh, Amy McGrath. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, for those of you who don't know, Amy McGrath is like I'm a veteran and I was in the Air Force and I killed a lot of children overseas. And you know who didn't do that? Mitch McConnell. And then she got destroyed. Millions of dollars were dumped into her race by the Democratic Party. And then she literally got unimaginably destroyed. Amy McGrath is the archetype for this. Like, this is, when we talk about this, more women drone pilots, it's like Amy McGrath is a perfect example of this. Hashtag girl boss, gay women drone pilot, hashtag girl boss is literally Amy McGrath.
Just got married, we're on the road, visiting my husband's hometown. Look up at the fast guy and hear an awful sound. 4 Hellfire missiles in the sky.
Apparently Ryan Grimm has known about Graham Plattner for a long time, and he used to be the bartender. This guy knows everyone. That's not surprising. So yeah, the Democratic Party has never shied away from pushing these like lab-made neoliberal conservative Democrats in every fucking state, whether it be like deep blue districts, whether it be red districts, even if they lose over and over again, which they do, they consistently lose, and they still push these guys. They think like, oh, well, the optics of like a person, the optics of a person being in the Navy or being in the military, being in the Air Force is like enough to make these patriots vote for the Democrat. And it's like so stupid, because that's not what patriotism is, especially in the United States of America. I'm sorry. Ain't nobody gives a fuck about anybody's vet status beyond just saying, oh, thank you for your service. That's it. Look at the way we treat veterans in this goddamn country. No one cares, okay? No one fucking cares. There's no better example of this than the way Donald Trump has shit all over John McCain, a prisoner of war, right? Like he said, I like my war heroes who weren't captured. Like anyone, okay? Look at the VA. Look at the way people treat veterans in general. If you want to understand the way that Americans give a shit, the way that the American government gives a fuck about veterans, look no further than like all of the homeless people in DC. How many of them are veterans? Okay? How many of them are veterans? We don't care. We want to pack them up with the current existing active military. That's wrong. Vets care about vets. Vet orgs are amazing. No, but I'm talking about the government. I'm not talking about dudes that are veterans themselves. I'm talking about the freaking government. All right. My brother's a Navy vet and he has to pay $5 monthly for a stupid vet coupon book. Yeah, they do thoughts and prayers for everything, dude. It's so goddamn annoying. We do care. That's why we have to pretend we don't know they're vets. Oh, okay. Yeah. Didn't they make active duty sleep on the floor to protect federal buildings during the ICE protest? Yeah, I mean, that was kind of funny. But anyway, the whole point is, wait, what is this? Grace Spellman, writer, screenwriter, professional music discusser. Awesome moment today seeing this tweet and thinking, wow, that looks like my cousin Graham from Maine, who I haven't seen in forever. And then 2 seconds later being like, wait, I just wish all the dead commie relatives on that side of the family could see this / haunt Susan Collins on his behalf. so he comes from a commie family. I mean, that kind of makes sense if he's like literally putting up a most likely to start a revolution in his high school yearbook. It says most likely to start a revolution, and he's pulling up a Free Palestine placard. It kind of makes sense. Why the fuck did he join the army then, dude? I don't know when or how I can explain this to people. I don't know if it's like middle class or upper middle class background people that like simply don't understand this, but. And I'm not saying this to just like excuse the American military's behavior by no means, but it is one, especially for his age group, probably post 9/11 fervor. Okay. And beyond that, there's an active initiative to recruit as many people as possible within the poverty draft structure that exists already. It's upwards mobility. It's like, giving you European social democracy style amenities that should not be amenities at all. I don't know what his personal story is, but it's a job program. It's a jobs program. The problem is, of course, what that job is. The problem, of course, is the output, right? The output of like the American military is just like complete dominance of the third world, complete dominance of the global South. So the reality is a lot of Americans were hopped up on crazy amounts of patriotism post 9/11. Like, the only reason why I don't have that kind of attitude is because, I'm Turkish. Like, I was in Turkey when it was happening. So I was on the other side of the fucking equation. But like, I know that most Americans that are my age, they weren't woke at all about fucking Muslims or whatever. They were absolutely brain broken by 9/11. They were just like, we have to kill every Muslim on the planet. And that animosity clearly has not gone away. There's like, it's still something that I have to fight on a daily basis, right? It's nowhere near as like, the fervor is nowhere near as bad as it was that led to tremendous amounts of military recruitment in the aftermath of 9/11. But it was some crazy shit. Like even like Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which seemingly was a moment where like a lot of American society got together and were like, oh, we have to defend Ukraine or whatever. And then there was like a lot of media initiatives to push for this as well. And that doesn't come anywhere near, I think, the environment post 9/11, the environment in the immediate aftermath of 9/11 and the years that carried on after 9/11. Where people were just like hopped up. They were just looking to do hate crimes. But there are definitely a lot of, there's active duty people in here. I don't understand how. I always jokingly say, like, there are a shit ton of military active duty people in this community who just agree with me 1-to-1. And I don't know how they like compartmentalize it in their brains. But then there's also a shit ton of veterans in here, which makes a lot more sense. You've done the service and you fucking hated it. And now you're like a left flank vet. That's one thing. I always jokingly say, like, probably the one group of people that don't actually watch me, it is community census day, so we can figure it out, is probably cops. Outside of cops, like, I suspect that like every facet of American existence has HasanAbi has in places that you would least expect. I mean, there's like finance bros in here, which is crazy. It's so different because 9/11 and the internet didn't really exist, so everyone was still fully in the fold of State Department propaganda. 9/11 took place in a time when the mindset was far more like the 60s and 80s than the mindset today. I agree with you. Yes, I agree with you. There's definitely a few cops that watch you, but like transit police type cops, maybe like European cops. You got some in the IC. I mean, there's hella members of the intelligence community that are in here. Some are in here because they're fans, and others that are in here because that's their job. So there's definitely a lot of people in here from that background, from that community, for sure. Okay, for sure. Yeah. Swedish cops watching and being like, this is crazy. What are American police doing? Yeah, I talked about the weirdness of the Dems pulled in the Democrat Farm Labor Party in Minnesota and it was really messed up. We'll cover it a little bit further today as well. It is different for leftists, I guess, to be more lenient with American war machine people compared to the IDF. Yes, but even then, this is like a big point of contention with me and like some other people. But like, I don't give a shit what people have done in the past, as long as they are atoning for it, is always going to be my advocacy, because I believe in rehabilitation first and foremost. But then outside of being a firm and committed believer in rehabilitation, I also feel like there's an air of hypocrisy if we were to just like act as though people are not consistently victim to their social conditioning that leads them to do horrifyingly violent things without even recognizing the violence that it's bringing about. So as long as someone actually breaks through that in the process of engaging in these sorts of actions, and then actively works to atone for those things, and actively works against the systems that are contributing to further violence, then you're good. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. It's a firm commitment that I have. This is a principled stance that I've always had. Another guest to talk about Israel. Lol, I hope you sufficiently researched everything they said not to get to the ire of online purists. No, online purists will love this guy. It's a American prestige pod. They're great. I mean, it's Daniel Bessner. I've linked up with him before. I've met him in real life before. He's a great dude. He's an academic. He's a foreign policy guy. He's a history guy. So he's dope, and no one's gonna have some issues with him. You know what I mean? But yeah. Anyway, let's blast off. Do any Israelis watch you? Yeah, there's hella Israelis that watch me. Yeah. Basically, the entire crop of Mezarvot, anti-Zionist Jews in Israel watch me. There's also a lot of Palestinian citizens of Israel that watch me as well. But like, yes, there are all 15 of the dedicated anti-Zionists that are still in Israel watch me. HasanAbi, I was an intelligence analyst in the military, and you helped me de-radicalize. I was trying to find another way because everyone was hopped up on conservatism and were really toxic. Yeah. I think Chelsea Manning is also another great example of like, the getting one-shotted and looking to rehabilitate or even paying the ultimate price, basically, in the process of like working as an intelligence person for the Department of Defense, right? Like you need people like that, right? You need people like that. Anyway, this HasanAbi head ain't no way. What is this? People are saying, I saw this. HasanAbi heads are all cat people, which is why I can't beef with cats too much.
Yeah. That wasn't a joke. No. I should have brought you ice cream.
The cats doing like Valorant pro player level locked in. You know what I'm talking about? When like Valorant pros would just like slam their face onto the fucking computer. Keyboard is all twisted when they're playing. Anyway, let's blast off. There's a lot that there's a lot going on in the world. Let's pop in. Let's lock in. Let's do it. What was I gonna say? Okay. FBI raids John Bolton's. FBI raids John Bolton. Trump DC patrols. Is Chicago next? Trump military DC patrols. Is Chicago next? Daniel Bessner on. D. Bessner will be on to talk Israel, Ukraine, U.S. foreign policy. And later at 3 p.m., we will conduct the annual government wants 10% stake in Intel, annual HasanAbi community census. Get in now. Twitch.tv/HasanAbi. Oh yeah. Also, Cracker Barrel has fallen. As a fire schedule for Census Day, will we have to fill anything out? No, it's just doing polls in the chat. We always do it in the chat polls. That's how it works. All right, boom, 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 boom. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get it twisted. Let's get it twisted. Sell census data to Palantir. Yeah, everybody always is like, wow, what are you doing with the census data? It's just a community thing. Okay, that's it. 3 p.m. PSD or ESD. There has never been a moment where I've ever fucking given you ESD. Even when I'm in ESD time, even when I'm in the East Coast, I still go off of PSD time. Okay, don't ask me that question. Don't do it. Daniel Bessner is going to be on at 1 p.m. PST. Yes, the community census happens once a year. It's on this website if you want to see the previous censuses. Sensei, brilliantdrink.github.io/HasanAbi-census. And it's got data from 2020 to August 2024. Bodged together in like 4 hours, okay, but I'll improve it later. Brilliant Drink has done this, and we'll get to it. You got age, gender, political ideology, ethnicity, religion, sexuality, height, trans chatters, location, salary, education, V card, weebs, diet, neurodiversity, and gaming frogs. We should do a cats v dogs question in the census. Well, the census is so long that I don't want to add any more, okay? Every year, I feel like we add more shit. Also, I saw this. Every generation of Twitch streamers, before we dive into like the news head first, every generation of Twitch streamers has this exact same issue. Here is Stable Ronaldo calls out the fakeness in the streaming industry, saying people genuinely don't like each other anymore, and he can't figure out the reason. There's plenty of money, viewership, content. I don't know why this is a thing. This has happened in every single generation of streamers, okay? Every single one. Every single one. I came up with the crop of talent. Like before my generation, the generation prior to mine was like Ninja, Tfue, Pokimane, right? They all popped off. And then my generation of streamers were like, myself, XQC. I think it was like Nick Merckx as well, kind of. You could put them in there. Who else? Mizkif, that was another one. Ludwig, right? Cutie Cinderella. Like, this was our gen of content creators. And if you notice, like, there's a lot of fucking drama in that gen. Like, there's a lot of people who have actively fought one another and don't fuck with each other at all any longer. And now this generation after us is like Aiden, Speed, Kai, and then I guess like the second version of that has been like the Phase Boys as well, if you want to loop all of them under the same umbrella. And there are always content creators in this space that just kind of do their own thing. Lyric is a great example of this, right? Moon, Lyric, like there are always content creators that like kind of do their own thing, right? But there's also content creators who collaborate with one another. Like I would say Keizo is like this new generation's version of like Lyric, right? Keizo just does his own thing. He like collabs with people every now and then, but he just like stays out of everything. He stays out of trouble. He stays out of drama. He's great. And basically, I mean, he's been doing his own thing. He's popping off. Whereas like a lot of these other guys, they collaborate with one another, myself included, right? And ultimately, from my personal experience, what I've seen that has taken place is that when money gets involved, when there's too much money to be made, when there's too much clout, okay, I think ultimately people find themselves fighting over one another and like fighting for like the seat at the top, I guess. It becomes like very transactional. Relationships become very transactional because like before 2020, a lot of content creators were just like friends with one another, like legitimately friends with one another, right? In my generation of content creators, like the top dogs, we were all friends with one another. We like legitimately hung out with one another, you know, Trainwrecks, XQC, even fucking Asmongold from time to time. And it wasn't like a thing. It wasn't a big ordeal to just like collaborate with someone, right? And at the time, their opinions weren't the way that they are. So when you say like ew, you're reflecting on that with like today's opinion. You're reflecting on what these guys look like now, or what these guys say now, but it wasn't like that back then. They just weren't like that at all. And I think throughout time, I feel like those collaborations became like more serious, more professional. Like there was an expectation, a tit for tat. It became way more transactional, right? And people got segmented. I think like the big nuclear bomb in terms of like my generation, like no longer collaborating with one another and no longer having a sense of community with one another, I would say was like during COVID, XQC's mistreatment of other content creators kind of started this drama a little bit, because he would just like treat every content creator like a fucking NPC. And because he was rewarded tremendously for that, no one really said anything about it. And a lot of people just like kind of let it happen. It wasn't even just GTRP. It was like Among Us, GTRP, No Pixel. Every time there was like a serious collaboration, like that's where it initially started. That's where the fissures initially started. And, you know, there were some people who called him out. I wonder who those people are. And, you know, they got yelled at quite a bit. And I was doing that as a friend, too, like at the time, because we were still close. And then after that, it just like kind of kept spiraling over and over again. Then there was the Kick ordeal. A lot of these guys were getting money from a crypto gambling casino online. And, you know, of course, when financial interests come into play, there's also obviously like people that want to protect their bag. And then Kick gets created as a website after stake.com is banned off of Twitch. And in the process, a lot of the people that went over there they had a lot of animosity. They had a lot of anger towards those who didn't. And then I think like the big nuke obviously was the Miskiff Trainwreck stuff, right? And it just imploded, and no one ever. People became extra cliquey, and no one ever hung out with one another the same way ever again after that. But that was just my gen, right? A long, convoluted, complicated Twitch history. And now I think this is happening for these guys as well a little bit, you know?
I was the smallest one here. I don't think my take on this is, I actually have a take. Let's start. Oh, should I start starting?
Is very cloud driven. Ludwig talked about how so many creators talked to him after streamer games about not being invited, including Neon. That's so funny to me because like I've been friends with most of the people that were there for literally like the past 6 years. Okay, including all the new talent. I'm pretty friendly with them, and I'm not upset. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck is someone random getting upset after like never having any relationship whatsoever with these people? I'm not even fucking upset because I understand, like, you know, you have to fund these big initiatives, and some of those companies that fund these big initiatives are obviously going to be companies that work with the state of Israel and are not too fond of my commentary on that same state of Israel, or even actively fund Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill. So that's so funny that like people get mad. They really hated you for being the face of getting steak banned off Twitch. Yeah.
Myself into this a little bit. I don't actually think streamers have egos. I think streamers just don't like each other. Simple as that. And it's not based off egos. It's just based off they just don't like each other. And people fake friendships. And put question marks all you want. I'm going to be honest. I just don't think people like each other. I don't really know why. I think this shit, there's plenty of money for everyone. There's plenty of viewers.
This is the healthy attitude to have on this, for the record. I do think there's a lot of ego involved as well. But I think there's a lot of clout, there's a lot of ego, there's a lot of money, there's financial interests involved as well. And once like money, in my experience, what I have realized is once money is a part of this process and people get driven by that financial imperative as opposed to just like taking taking whatever money you're making and like being excited at the prospect, being excited at how fortunate we are to even be at this position, instead of just like actively just like hanging out with friends and trying to make people trying to entertain people. It turns into this like transactional relationship. Like who can I do this with? Who can I get clout off of? That kind of thing. I can't imagine having to pretend to like my coworkers to make more money. I am fortunate enough to have never had to do any of that. You act like it's not a job. I mean, it is a job, but it's also not a job, if you know what I mean. It's not like a real fucking job, especially for like a lot of content creators. What kind of, like, look, I log in every day. I clock in. I'm doing fucking news commentary for like, 10 hours, not 10 hours, but like 8 hours, right? A lot of these guys are just hanging out. They're fucking playing golf. They're rizzing girls up. You know what I mean? Like it's a job in the sense of like, it's still supposed to be entertaining. You're supposed to be doing that. Okay, people are saying 6 hours. Fucking chatters. Jesus Christ. Like for a lot of these guys, they're just like having fun and filming themselves in the process of having fun and making a lot of money. And it's amazing. And I say this as someone who thinks my position, which is definitely a little bit more serialized and a little bit more serious than what these guys are doing, as an unimaginably immensely fortunate, immensely privileged position to begin with as well. So anyway, no love for Wubby7. Wait, what do you mean? What happened? No, dude, what are you talking about? Wubby's doing incredible shit with Will right now. IRL streaming is way more exhausting than desktop. I disagree with that. As someone who does both, you're actually 100% wrong. Leaked? What? I didn't leak shit. He said that's true. If you think it's bad on mainstream channels, it's extra bad in the VTuber space. No, I will stand on that. I think desktop streams are harder and worse on your fucking mental and have a worse toll than doing IRL streams. I do both. I'm telling you, I've done both for years. One of the best aspects of Twitch was that there is like a big community here, There was a massive community here where content creators would like genuinely get together and hang out and have fun. And that's gone. And that kind of sucks that it's gone. Okay? It fucking sucks. But that's why I love the FaZe boys, because they just still keep that energy. Yeah, but you don't do both at the same extent. Like you ain't IRL streaming 8 hours a day for weeks on end, lol. You just flop for a few days. I mean, but in my experience, when I do like 4, 5, 6 hour IRL streams, like dude, I recognize this when I started going to the protests. Okay. I was in the middle of these fucking protests getting shot at for like 4 hours straight, getting fucking pepper sprayed and shit. And that literally took less out of me than sitting here and having to listen to chatters yell at me over fucking minutia. I would rather go to a protest and get shot at, okay, than have to sit through like a drama segment with members of my community fucking chirping at me over like some minor disagreement that they've decided is the absolute worst possible thing that could have ever happened. Yeah. I mean, fair law. Also, chat. I mean, flip. It's fine. I'm telling you, I love this community. Lol, he hates this chat. Lol. No, I love my community. I'm an incredibly fortunate person. But I'm telling you, it takes a fucking mental toll. Okay, I'm telling you. You're so sensitive, HasanAbi. Wait, what? Anyway. I'm demanding an apology for you interviewing the ice cream man. Anyway, does chat appear in your dreams? Not as much anymore, honestly. I don't know what happened. I don't know at what point. Because, like, remember, I used to talk about how, like, I would debate in my dreams, right? Like I would come up with like talking points sometimes. Like I would come up with like commentary in my mind while I'm sleeping, while I'm dreaming, and then I would wake up and then I would write it down. I'd be like, damn, that's a good fucking talking point. And I'm always on. But minus 10 aura, I'm always on. I mean, this is not aura. Nothing I do is aura. Let's be real. Maybe if there was like daily fun like the old days, it wouldn't be so bad. Can you believe we used to watch real estate videos? Modern chat would kill you for that. No, I know. I'm working on it. I'm working on it actively. That's why we're doing the community census. That's why I'm bringing back Chad Weiss with not one, but two special guests. Second special guest is being announced right now at this moment. Chad Weiss tomorrow at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Vanilla Mace and Phase Adapt. That's right. It's going to be a fucking banger. Okay. I am so stoked. Weak ego, to be honest. Wait, what? Weak ego. Fake friend, do IRL every day. Okay, dude, train is the same. Weak ego, to be honest. You don't have to ban guys like that for saying that. It's fine. You can say stuff like that. I'm not even like, I'm not frustrated by any of this, by the way. I'm just telling you, like, this is in spite of all of the tremendous fortune that I have seen in my fucking life and in my career in particular. I don't know how we moved on to like IRL. I think is like more fun to do and less less like brain and soul sucking than a desktop. It could just be a me thing, to be honest. Bet you won't read this. Do you think about chat after you nut? See, do you understand what I mean when I say this shit is worse than fucking IRL streams? Do you understand it, chatter? Do you understand it better now? Do you understand it better now? Do you understand it better now? Okay. Example proven. Instantly. Okay. Instantly. Proving my goddamn point. Listen. The thing is, the reason why I say IRL is better in general than desktop is also because, like, I think being outside is healthier than having all of your interactions be on the internet. That's it. Because like I interact with fans nonstop. I interact with fans nonstop in the real world when I go out, right? And none of them are asking me questions like that. Because as I always say, human beings in the motherfucking real world, in the meat space, behave very differently than human beings on the internet. The same guy who will say some shit like that is not going to do that. Anyway, that's a joke. Anyway, I'm not like being serious or sincere about that.
Shit for everyone, and there's plenty of content for everyone. I don't really know why this is even like a thing. Like I just don't know why people are scared to say they don't like people. That's a small sweat.
Don't you feel like you can? One guy did say, "I'm shaking. D owns you" or something. Yeah, exactly. That's the one time where like a internet cringe lord behaved like he was an internet cringe lord, but in real life, and it was such an inconsequential experience. It was such an inconsequential experience overall, and it was like a major fucking own for that person. That you know, it basically, the problem took care of itself.